Hey everyone, I hope you're all having a fantastic day so far. Today I want to talk about the lessons I've learned from posting on YouTube every single day for 90 days. Well, the last 2 days were a bit iffy, but neither here nor there. Now, before I get into it, I want to go through some of the stats. So when it comes to the actual sort of impressions, I was able to get 3.2 million impressions, which is really a big deal for someone like me who has a small channel. Yeah, click-through impressions, or click-through rate should I say, i.e. clicking on the thumbnail going into the video, it's roughly 4%, so that hasn't changed too tough. Average view duration of more than 6 minutes. When it comes to actual views, there are roughly 195,000 views as well. And then when it comes to demographics, 38% from the UK, roughly 30% from the US, 3 odd percent from Canada. And when it comes to age groups, 25 to 54-year-olds made up roughly 85% of my audience, which is expected. Now, people clicked through to my video based on suggested videos, in addition to YouTube search, and obviously popping up in the feed as well. So there's the key things that came to mind. Now, looking at the list, first thing I learned is that number one, how you write your title, the text on your thumbnail, and the image that you use is really important. Now, of course, I had the same sort of smiley face continuously because I was looking for expediency, so to speak. But I think it's the titles that really stuck out. And so the video that did really well, I think it's Escape this Career Ladder or whatever it may be. It got 92,000 views, which carried the YouTube channel for a while and got me a lot of subscribers and everything else. And I think the titling there seemed to make sense. It definitely hit a chord because I think it was February 8th when I posted it. There were a lot of people who were feeling really down because of the job market and obviously looking for alternatives, so to speak. And so that video was very holistic in answering that question in depth. And this is where I started to get a lot of engagement, not just from the UK, but more so from the States, if I'm honest with you. So some key lessons there for sure. The second thing is structure within the video is really important. And, you know, this really means having an introduction, okay? Not necessarily introducing who I am and stuff. I don't think people really care about that stuff unless they're really invested in me as a person. And obviously having the meat of the video, which is really going through some steps or some lessons or some observations or opinions or whatever it may be, just being really clear and succinct about it, and then summarizing if you can, and then sort of like closing off. And so that structure was heavily put into place by having some notes. I always have notes with me just to sort of like support me in terms of my speech, not really caring about the prim and properness of the video, but more so about the value that I provide. The third thing is that doing a video every single day really forces you to be creative. And the way that creativity was sparked was through conversations that I had with friends, things that I was watching on the news or on YouTube, ideas that came to mind, having conversations with ChatGPT. All of these different things really invigorated the creativity for me to come up with different ideas. Now, there were times where I had loads of different topics that I wanted to talk about and I just leant on them. And other times I was like, I didn't want to lean on that stuff. And so it really comes down to how you capitalize on some of the ideas that come to mind, okay? The other thing is, if you do get an idea, write it down. And if you can actually film the video, film it ASAP. Don't even waste time, because the more you let it drag, the less energy you have towards wanting to do that video, okay? The other thing is, I think I've said this already, but I'm just going by the bullet points. People want you to get to the point straight away, okay? Now, there are some people who appreciate your character, your candor, your energy, all of that kind of stuff. They're going back and forth. But there are other people who don't give a flying monkeys and they just want you to talk straight away. Now, I'm not going to cater to everybody. I'm not trying to cater to everybody. But there are people who understand my style. And so I care more about those individuals because I can connect with those individuals deeper. For those people who I don't connect with as much, then they're most likely going to watch another video or jump off, whatever it may be. The other thing is, doing a lot of videos helps you validate your audience. It's a really important thing. And you may be thinking validation comes in the form of likes or views or whatever it may be. Even though your ego can be stroked, especially when it comes to a high number of views or whatever it may be, I didn't get a consistent number of views. You'll see in my channel where, you know, some videos only got like 50 odd views, 30 views or whatever it may be. And other videos got thousands of views or whatever it is. And so there is going to be variation, but you kind of know what your middle ground is if you're doing a topic that makes sense for your audience. And so real validation, for me at least anyway, came in these two forms. Number one, in terms of comments and the quality of those comments. So whether this was a thank you, whether this was an encouragement, whether this was a question that somebody was asking in relation to the video, whether this was even a critique that was specific to the context of what was being said, it's all value, okay? But the flip side of that were people who actually booked in a call with me. And actually, I had to block out some time because there were a lot of calls being booked. So that shows me that actually I'm definitely allowing people to feel like I can help them. And the sort of things that people wanted help with, they were kind of like free bits. So the first thing was people wanted to start up their own consultancy. That was one thing. And there was some education that was required in order to help them with that. The second thing was more centered around, getting into contracting. What does that look like? How do I do it? Etc. etc. The third thing was just more, I'm not sure what to do with my life. I'm a bit confused. Do I do contracting? Do I set my own consultancy? Do I stay where I am? All of that kind of stuff there. So those were the three sort of like key areas where people wanted help with. Before I continue, and I've had to continue to do this, if you are looking to basically understand whether you're fit to do contracting or independent consulting, I've got a beta survey that you can check out. So this is essentially an assessment. It's called the Consultant Readiness Assessment that helps you understand where you are at when it comes to starting down this road or this field or whatever it may be. There was a Trussell report that highlighted from 2017 to 2023, consultancy spend increased across different industries within the UK. Public sector, private sector, blue light services, etc., etc. So if you're wanting to understand this more, then click on the link below where it talks about this survey. I think it's called the Independent Consultant Survey or the Consultant Readiness Survey. You can check out where you're at. Anyway, let me continue with the lessons learned. The next thing is doing a lot of videos helps you understand what is wrong with your funnel. So if you don't know what a funnel is, it's an end-to-end journey that a prospect may take, or a lead may take, or a customer may take when they're experiencing you in terms of your ecosystem. So from video to email, etc., etc. And I've had issues with opt-ins, with lead magnets, with links, like the whole shebang. But if I never did continuous videos, and if I never had audience members or the community actually tell me that they couldn't opt in, then I wouldn't know this. Okay, so I'm very grateful. If you're one of those people, I really do appreciate you, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to make this work. I'm trying to provide value in various different ways, whether this is in a free form or whether this is in a private or paid form. So having that feedback is good, because you're posting every single day, and so you're getting more engagement, and so you're going to get quicker feedback. So that's a deep lesson there. The other thing I want to say is don't be afraid to promote. I've had to learn this in many different ways. And obviously I just did this before this point. But promoting your stuff allows you to understand what you can improve. It's not going to be perfect straight away. And actually, if you feel like, it has to be perfect straight away, you don't have trust or belief that you can continue to provide value. Okay? Because you have to find new and important ways to maybe hit the same message. And I remember one time, one lady was like, all you're doing is just giving people hope and all this kind of stuff there. Yeah, I am giving people hope. What are you talking about? Hope is required in this world. Because I remember one time, there was, I was in this session. It was, I think it was 7 Steps. No, it wasn't even that one. It was Stephen Covey's book, okay, talking about highly effective people. And I asked the question centered around, if you've tried and exhausted every single option, what else do you have? And whilst the facilitator was discussing amongst other individuals, I kind of worked it out. You need hope. Sometimes you need hope. That is the mindset, the established set of attitudes, in order for you to orient yourself in a way where you believe that you can discover more. Because if you can believe that, then you're more likely going to be open to seeing what those opportunities look like. If I say to you, don't look at anything that's red, you're going to notice everything that's red. Everything that's red in your environment, whether you're looking at it or not, your periphery is going to notice it. So if someone's coming along, giving you a sense of hope by doing his best or her best to share their experiences, break down how they've understood, the market or whatever it may be, or giving you a specific type of advice, knowing that you're not going to follow it the same way, but there are elements that you can get from it to encourage you to take that action, then why not? That's not a bad thing. So that's my defense, so to speak. And so this is all to say, creativity and shooting loads of videos and providing that hope through formal education or opinions or step-by-step processes is always going to be a good thing. And you're always going to find different ways to remix or reflex this key information that you're trying to promote or get people to understand. You may get a viral video. That's the next point. You may get a viral video, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that will translate into other videos going viral. Okay, so I spoke about this 92,000 views video. And some people may say that's not viral. For my standards, that's very good. I was very happy to see that, but I didn't get carried away. I'll be very honest with you. I wasn't like, this is it. Every single video is now going to be like in the tens of thousands or whatever it may be. I knew there'd be a knock-on effect, but I kept myself grounded. It was more my wife who was checking my stats and was like, oh, this, that, da, 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 all this kind of stuff there, which was nice to see that she was so invested in that way. But for me, I've tried not to make it about views, or I've tried not to make it about, sort of like being, it's not famous is the word. I don't know what the word is, but I've wanted to understand the funnel. I've wanted to understand brick by brick what needs to be done. So that's been more my angle. And this is why I said at the beginning, for those of you who've been watching, this has been an experiment. This has been the ultimate experiment to understand what needs to be done. And what I've realized is when you throw stuff out there, you learn at each stage what needs to be tweaked. Okay, I need to do my titles like this. I need to make sure that the description's like this. I need to put the call to action at the top in my description. I need to make sure there's a bit of a structure in my videos. I need to say less, etc., etc. So all of these things come into play. The other thing is you start to begin to form a bit of a community. I had great back and forth with some really cool people, man. And I wish I could have shouted them out more and spoken to them a bit more. Life got a bit busy, but I see you guys, man. I see you guys. And I really do appreciate the fact that you've spent time to watch these videos, take it in, or the amazing people who have messaged me on LinkedIn and sent me just really heartwarming messages. Keep on going. You've really helped me. I've actually transitioned into contracting, etc., etc. So I just want to say genuinely, man, I feel it. I want to say a thank you, and I really appreciate you for what you've done. The other thing is looking at data gives you a better understanding of where you're at, and it gives you the ability to make smarter decisions. I've interrogated a lot of the data to really understand, okay, what are the key topics that I need to be talking about? What does the optimal video look like in terms of length of time? What does that structure look like? How do I break that down? So taking the transcript, throwing that into AI, taking screenshots of all of the different videos and getting the chat GPTs to give me some statistics behind it and stuff. So it's been really good to really understand that stuff on a different level and take it a bit more seriously, so to speak. And so what are my next steps? I think, obviously the question is, am I going to do a video every single day from now on? The answer is a resounding no. No, I may do this challenge again at some stage. I'm not going to say no to that. But the whole point of this was to reintroduce myself and to learn and to experiment and understand what I need to be doing for my brand, for my business moving forward. That's the first thing. So I feel like I've consolidated and understood some stuff based on those lessons I've just spoke about. Second thing is I'm probably going to post 1 to 2 times a week. And, I've learned that schedule isn't too important, unless obviously you guys tell me otherwise. But 1 to 2 times a week is where I think the sweet spot is. But focus more on, I think I provide good value, but maybe how it's presented becomes more important. So obviously you see I'm reading a screen at times. I've got my notes, and then on Wednesdays and or Thursdays you'll see I have the presentation style type. So thinking about how I can present better. Now that transition may not happen straight away, it may take some time, but it's thinking about what does that specifically look like so it doesn't overburden me, but it still provides good value to you guys. And actually, there are no brainers when it comes to wanting to learn more about my ecosystem or what I can provide in terms of supporting individuals like yourself. So the other focus that I want to talk about is maintaining authenticity or sincerity or integrity, but also making sure that there's a bit more polish, so to speak. Is that totally necessary? Well, I've kind of proved that it isn't, because there's been growth. The growth being the subscriber counts, the revenue, which hasn't been like bounds or whatever it may be. That hasn't been my focus. The impressions, but more so the comments and the bookings. That has been the real growth, really and truly. So there is a bit of a pattern there that I need to take into consideration and understand how can I fit this into my schedule, so to speak. And I think the final thing is learn to understand my audience more. Like dial in more in terms of the key problems. What are the key problems? And I'd love to know from you guys, like genuinely, what would you say your key problems are that you want solving, that you believe that I potentially could help you with? Okay, in terms of YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff there. So just being very dialed into that, understanding the nuances and actually having a bit of banter. You know, whether you comment or not, you get what I'm on, you get the vibe, etc., etc. So it's less about me, but more about how can I provide good value. But the me element comes into play based on how I present, the authentic nature, how I talk, etc., etc. That's pretty much it, man. So there'll be a bit of a break, or there will be a break, or there may never be daily videos again. So it's been great. It's been awesome. I've learned a lot. I've really loved the journey that I've gone on with some of you guys. And of course, if you want to see more videos centered around portfolio careers, consulting, independent consulting, that is, contracting, soft economics, which I love speaking about, and that's a term that I've come up with, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.